What up, guys, and welcome back to Thomas Reacts here on the 360 experience with myself, Thomas Mabaso. So the video that I'm about to play you right now, it's a speech that was given by Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi at the annual Black Business Council meeting that took place this year. I believe that this summit took place maybe a couple of months back, but it still doesn't matter because the content of this video are still relevant even today. They will be relevant even years after today. So thank you to one person who actually suggested that I react to this video. I just want to thank you so much because this is one of the most powerful speeches that I've ever seen. This is one of the best actually speeches that I've ever seen this year. So this speech was given by Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, who is the Commissar of the Economic Freedom Fighter and a long-standing member of the Economic Freedom Fighters. So guys, I also chose to react to this video specifically because it actually shows you, or rather, Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi went on this stage to actually show these people how hypocritical the so-called BEE is and how flawed the system is against the black people. So Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi is going to talk about several things here on this speech. I hope that you stay until it is done because it is one of the most beautiful speeches that you will ever see. You don't want to miss this speech. So guys, let's enjoy.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Good morning to everybody, the leadership of the BBC, fellow panelists. And I'm with the chairperson of the EFF in Gauteng, who is also the MMC of Finance here in the city of Ekurhuleni. His name is Nkululeko Dunga. I want him to stand because I think there are people who want business or whatever. You should know him. Please wave. This is the MMC. You know, EFF is in government here in Ekurhuleni. Very.
And guys, please, if you have a video that you would like us or you would like me to react to, don't be shy to mention it on the comment section and tell me which video you would like me to go through.
Important in Johannesburg as well, the city that the speaker after me used to be the mayor there, and they lost dramatically, and they're still losing. Just yesterday, they lost the ward down in Ennerdale. This losing is consistent with BEE. I think that perhaps the facts speak for themselves. BEE is a dramatic failure. Of the listed companies in South Africa's JSE, less than 3% are black-owned, 100% black-owned. Women ownership is even worse. Actually, BEE is largely a black boys club, consistent with the white boys club that owns all of us. The tragedy from the very beginning was the naivety to think that the oppressor can give you the means to defeat him. BEE is based on that tragic logic. If you look at the sector targets, are themselves very much embarrassing. Nothing in terms of the ownership of the economy of South Africa reflects the demographic profile of our country. But if you look at the targets of ownership, sector by sector, we are still not targeting the actual profile of the representation of black people in the country. It tells you already from the beginning we are moving from a defeated perspective. And capitalism in its nature is it's the cold, ruthless march of profit for profit's sake. How could you depend on people whose intention, whose entire project in life is the pursuit of money for money's sake to transform anything? So it was naive in our view from the beginning to think you could ask South Africa's white capitalist owners to include, number one, black people, number two, to transform the economy against their own domination.
I mean, exactly, like what Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi is talking about is actually true, because if you listen to what he just said about how can you depend on people who just want to make money, like the same people, they are not even transforming people, they are not transforming the economy. If anything, they are putting this artificial intelligence in so that they can take people out, so that they can maximize their profits. So they don't actually care about actually transforming the economy and make sure that black people get their representation there. No, they just want to make profits. That's why this artificial intelligence thing is so, even though like we cannot ignore that the world is moving on this trajectory, but we can't also ignore the fact that this artificial intelligence is actually costing people their jobs. Yes, we do agree that we have to move this way, but at the same time we also have to agree that this same system is actually killing people. It's not making things better for people, it's making things harder for people, because now people are losing jobs because they are being replaced by robots and all this nonsense. So Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi is telling the truth that we cannot depend on people who just want to make money. We have to start looking at people who actually want to transform how things are, who want to transform the economy and make sure that all of us get a representation. So as long as we still have these capitalists who just want to make money, nothing will ever work in this country.
We've got to look elsewhere. So as the EFF, which were proudly a politically socialist organization, we don't have any hopes that BEE can transform the economy. How much lack of confidence must you have? And this is another important thing about the ANC. The ANC doesn't believe in black people. Wherever they are situating black people, they want them to be under some white supervision. The tragedy of ESCOM tells you the amount of confidence they had on the Reuters, defending him left, right, and center, pure white incompetence. But everywhere that they have done, the entire approach to the economic transformation of the country, to the economic development of the country, is about the fact that they can't do anything without white supervision. There is no single developed country in the world, and this is a fact. In the history of capitalist development, there's no single country in the world that developed by putting faith in the private pursuit of profit for profit's sake. No capitalist on their own, anywhere, particularly in Euro-America, developed any country. Most, in fact, all the developed countries have had the state at the center of development. So, number one, how are we going to transform South Africa? We can't give up on the state. The Americans didn't. After World War II, go look what Euro-America did. At the center of the recovery, before they privatized under Thatcher, were state-owned companies, were protected industrial development, protecting them from international competition, the policies that were called protection of infant industries, such that when they are big and competent, then they let them go into the market. The state must be at the center of the development of South Africa's economy. So what?
And I think it is going to be hard actually to convince people, especially when some of the politicians, they talk about nationalizing the land, nationalizing the banks, because I believe that the ANC has done such a crap job that no one actually trusts the government. But if you actually look at it, how Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi looks at it, the state is actually one entity that can actually transform our lives. So as people, the best thing that we can do is to make sure that we put correct and qualified people at the right positions so that they can perform according to what is expected of them. But I think what we are seeing right now is nothing but buffoonery from the state, and I think that is one reason that's why a lot of people, they can't trust the state. I mean, like, if you remember that interview that Julius Malema did with that arrogant BBC reporter Stephen Seka, Julius Malema was also talking about this, that the people cannot give up on the state because the ANC has done a bad job. We cannot do that. Just because one party does a mess, it doesn't mean that the whole department is wrong. It doesn't mean that the state is not capable. If we have qualified people to do the jobs that are expected of them, then we can get the results that we can get. But if we are gonna just appoint people just because they are the members of our political party, is this cadre deployment thing, nothing will ever work out, because almost none of these people are qualified to do anything that they are requested to do. I mean, like, if you can look at a lot, you can just look at our ministers, man. You can look from the Minister of Communication, Minister of State Security. I remember at one time we once had Bongani Bongo as the Minister of our state, as a Minister of our State Security, I think, something like that. But if you look at this guy's record, he knows nothing about the state. But you can take another countries. Maybe you can take a country like United States of America. You can see who they put as the Minister of the Defense, who's the Minister of the DOJ. You can see these people are actually qualified to do that job. That's why they perform so well. So I think this whole thing of cadre deployment, it's actually one thing that is actually hurting us as the country, because the country loves the ANC so much, but the ANC, they keep employing these people who are not qualified to do the job, so that now people can no longer trust the state. That's why when you come out and say, no guys, we need to nationalize the land, it becomes such a shocker. We need to nationalize the Reserve Bank. It becomes such a shocker, because people think that any person who gets in power, they are just going to do the same thing that the ANC did, which is completely wrong.
What has happened to the state in the last 30 years? It is a neoliberal disorganization. So the local state, everywhere you find it, what we call the tender, is the faith that everybody must get a business and do the things that the state should provide. You've got to build internal state capacity to deliver the services that are supposed to be delivered by a government. Government must build a road, because it must not only build a road, it must maintain it. Government must provide quality education. Government must be able to cut the grass in all the parks. All those low-hanging fruits, you cannot deliver them to the private sector. And what becomes the state role in the creation of big business? Proper business, innovative business. Not chance takers who are busy asking, for small favors in exchange of bribes. Proper business. Black people can't participate in innovative businesses for a very simple reason, because you don't have a bank of your own. The South African banks don't believe in you. They don't believe in black talent. They'll never give you enough money to be able to become a captain of industry. There's nothing we can do until we have a bank of our own. So step number one, we need a bank, and that bank must become a state bank that is going to waste money on you, like the apartheid government did on Afrikaners.
They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about that. Because all of these people who benefited from apartheid, they just want to pretend as if they've worked so hard for everything they have today. They don't want to talk about this. They don't want to talk about the fact that the state gave them countless and countless of opportunities to transform their lives. But today, if black people want to talk about nationalizing the banks so that we can have our own state bank, it's a wrong thing. And you can watch who is actually against this thing of nationalizing our banks, nationalizing the land, and nationalizing our mines. Who are the people who are against this thing? Because they don't want to talk about the fact that the apartheid government gave them so much opportunities that today they are far ahead of black people. But if black people want to talk about the same thing, if black people want the state to actually transform their lives, these people want to talk about, nah, you just want to depend on the state. The state is creating this social dependency and everything. Like all this propaganda, they will come out swinging. But the same people, they don't want to talk about the fact that their lives are better today because the state actually gave them countless opportunities to actually transform their lives. So as black people, we really need to look at this somehow. Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi is telling the truth. I mean, like, this is the same thing that I think the Jews are doing. If you have a business, they're going to invest in your business. You're going to make mistakes, but they're going to keep investing in your business until you get it right. We also need to have our own bank, our own state bank that is going to waste money on us, young creators. The state that is going to accept that, okay, I've made a mistake, but I still need a bit of money so that I can keep going. They don't want to talk about this. They don't want to talk about this. And I think black people, somehow they have been convinced that they can work harder to actually catch up, but we will never catch up. We will never catch up to people who are owning over 90% of our economy. We will never catch up by working hard. We also need the state to actually be behind us and waste money on us and waste money on our ideas so that we can also prosper. Why don't white people want to talk about this? Why don't they want to talk about the fact that the state allocated them land, the state allocated them all of these things that they are having today? But as soon as a black man, like if you are a black man and you want to talk about the state transforming your life, if you want the state to give you countless loans to actually build up your business, to make mistakes and to go back to the same people and tell them, guys, I've made this mistake, here's my spreadsheet, here's the paperwork, I need another loan. They don't want to talk about this one. They don't want to talk about it. And if you can look, who are these people who are against black people getting their own state bank? Because if you were like, I'm gonna go back to the same interview again of Julius Malema with the BBC guy, because when Julius Malema said we need to nationalize the Reserve Bank, the guy was shocked. He was shocked. He was shocked, like there's no way that you want to propose this. But right now we are wise enough to understand that the current government is actually doing a bad job. But if we can elect better people, if we can elect people who are actually capable and qualified, we can actually prosper. So it's no longer about the fact that the current government is doing a mess. It's the fact that we can elect proper people to actually better our lives. So every time we talk about nationalizing the state, if we talk about nationalizing the mines and everything, everyone gets shocked. They don't actually want to see this happening because they know once this thing happens, the state is going to start wasting money on these people's ideas and these people are going to prosper. Why do they want to talk about it? Why don't they want to talk about it?
That is going going to give you funding, give you 40 years minimum, like Toyota. The story of Toyota, which at the moment, there's no village in the world without a Toyota in the world. But if you look at the story of Toyota, it was properly supported by the state for 40 years until it became the giant that it is. It's the story of a number of companies. The strongest agricultural sector in the world is in the United States, but it's the most protected from international competition. We cannot give up on the state because the ANC destroyed it. It is the only thing you have as black people. States, but it's the most protected from international competition. We cannot give up on the state because the ANC destroyed it. It is the
Thank you so much.
It is the only thing you have as black people.
And funny enough, black people have been convinced that the state will never do anything for them. It doesn't matter which political party that you vote for. No one will do anything for you. Our media has actually convinced our people that it doesn't matter which political party you vote for, because the state will not do anything for you. And our people have been convinced. They have been convinced. And they believe that it doesn't matter if you take out the ANC, you put in the DA, you take out the DA, you put in the EFF, or it doesn't matter. They don't actually believe that if we elect people who are actually who care about us, they can actually use the state to better our lives. And it's very important that we cannot give up on the state. We cannot give up on our government. Just because Cyril Ramaphosa has decided to put incompetent people there, it doesn't mean that everything will be like that forever. No, it's not like that. It's not like that. I think it's high time we start giving other people a chance. We cannot give up on the state. We cannot.
Destroyed it. It is the only thing you have as black people. You can't fold your arms and all go into a mode of condemning government. It is the only shield, it is the only gain of the liberation movement. We've got to build state capacity. We've got to use the government. We've got to use the state to transform our lives. White people are not going to develop you.
Exactly.
White people are not going to save you from poverty. If you don't know, the last 30 years is evidence. White people themselves, to become the rich people that they are, used the state. They could have made it without the state. They were protected by the state.
Exactly.
They were funded by the state. They were given all types of opportunities by the state. You have to say,
just because our state is not doing that for us, it doesn't mean that we have to give up on the state. It means that we have to give up on people who are currently running our state. Get these people out of this machine. Get qualified people who actually care and love us and actually help us build our lives. We cannot sit back and fold our arms and give up on the state. Because even some of the benefits that black people are, or a majority of us are getting, are from the state. Are from the state. The same people who used the state, like Dr. Ndlozi said, to become rich, they don't want to see your state supporting you. They don't want to see the state giving your grandmother grant. They don't want to see the state giving your sister grant. They hated that your state is giving you 350 every month if you are unemployed. They hate that. Because for some reason they believe that the state can actually work for them, not for us. If you want the state to do anything for you, then you are entitled. You don't want to work hard. I mean, like the same people who were given countless opportunities by the state when black people were oppressed, they want to tell us today that we should work hard. How is it possible? How is it possible? It will never be possible. And we will never catch up. I think Dr. Ndlozi, one thing that he needs to mention is that we will never catch up. We will never catch up. Because the same people that we are competing with have been given countless and countless of opportunities. They have been funded for years and years. And today black people are just expected to work hard. It's not an even playing field, guys. It's not an even playing field. So we cannot give up on the state.
If your state, don't surrender it to corrupt people. Don't surrender it to people who don't believe in black talent. We've got to save the state and strengthen it. Use it to transform and shift tectonically the ownership patterns in the country. In the private sector, you will not survive. You will not succeed. So number one, we must build our state internal capacity, build state-owned companies. Number two, we need our own bank, and we need it yesterday. Without a bank, we're going nowhere. Finally, black people.
I mean, like, guys, what is the purpose of this Black Business Council? If they've not even implemented one thing that Dr. Ndlozi is talking about, they've never even pushed for a single thing that is talking about. Why this Black Business Council haven't pushed for this idea of a state-owned bank? Why is it? I mean, what's the purpose? If black people only have like 3% of the representation, I mean, like, what's the purpose of them? Why do they exist?
I don't know who lied to us. We cannot continue calling this place our country when we do not own the land.
Exactly.
Actually, the most untransformed of the sectors in terms of this BEE arrangement is the agricultural sector. Land.
They are against the issue of expropriating land without compensation. Now they want, if you want land, if you are a black person, you want land, you are told to buy land by the same people who stole the land. So you come to South Africa, you steal land, and when black people demand it back, you tell them that they must pay for that very land. How are we even going to catch up? How are we even going to catch up? If these people, they own a majority of our land, and they are such a small percentage, how are we even going to compete? So why are black people actually expected to compete with people who are actually ahead of time? People who have done everything in their power to make sure that they are ahead of time. But today we can't even, like, guys, we will never catch up. If we don't have land, if we don't have our own bank that believes in us as black talent, that is going to waste money on us, if we don't have land to actually build those businesses, we will never survive. And that's why we cannot give up on the state, because the state is one entity that can actually give us the land and give us our state-owned bank. So just because the current administration is doing a great job, it doesn't mean that the government is bad. I think even the policies, I think our people, they need to start approaching politics by listening to the policies that their parties are advocating for. Because it can't be that you tell me that the policies of the DA are the same as the policies of the EFF and are the same as the politics of the Petrolic Alliance. It can't be. It can't be. Political education is needed in South Africa. Political education is needed in South Africa.
Is the agricultural sector. Land is everything. Wamanje nje, we're on the land. Even if you want a saloon, it has to be on the land. Perhaps that is the genesis of everything. Without the land, we are visitors in this country. You can hate foreign nationals all you want.
Exactly.
There are people who are campaigning everywhere, program director, that our problem is foreign nationals.
Yeah.
Foreign nationals, kwabani. Ngoba you are a foreigner yourself. We've got to get back the land. We do not have the land. And therefore, I appeal.
Hell, did you see that guy? He had to come and tell them, like, no, bruh, you're killing us right now. Can you please wrap it up? Because you are killing us. Look at this guy. You can tell that he just came to be like, hey, yo, man, come on, you are giving us flames. We've heard you.
The land. And therefore, I appeal, I invite all of us as black people to be unapologetic. Even if your interests are entrepreneurial in relation to the fourth industrial revolution, you will not be able to even do the fourth industrial revolution without the land. You don't have land. That's
Where are you going to build that business?
why the banks won't give you funding. Because you don't have the land. We have to get back our land. We have to build internal state capacity and use the state to transform the economy. Thirdly, we need our own bank. That is the path to economic freedom in our lifetime. Thank you very much.
So, guys, what do you think about that speech? What do you think about this speech, guys? Because I honestly believe that it is one of the most powerful speeches. So, guys, on the comment section, please tell me, what do you think about this speech? Because I think Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi just went out there to outline the problems that black people need to face head on. So, guys, if you like this video, please make sure that you like, you subscribe to the channel, you drop the comment section, and you hit that notification bell so that you can get notifications whenever I drop new content. My name is Thomas Mabaso, and I will see you next time on the 360 Experience. Bye bye.